Hey everyone, it's me, Joe Saiyan. Today we're going to be doing a build video for Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra, but before we begin I need to point out a couple things. So if you don't want to listen to this intro, please hit the timestamps in the description or comments below to skip ahead. Now, I currently, at the time of recording, am a part of the Squadra Creators Program, copyright of Bird Studio, SHUEISHA, TOEI, Animation, and Bandai Namco Entertainment Incorporated. Now, with that being said, Squadra is a free-to-play MOBA game designed to be played 4v4 competitively, and I am saying that I am by no means a pro. So, I'm not a pro, MOBAs are skill-based, future updates can invalidate the builds, and moving forward, build suggestions and card suggestions and skill suggestions are all only suggestions, and you should adjust as needed based on your skill level at playing this game. Thank you for watching, and let's just go ahead and get right into it. Alright everyone, it is Squadra time, and today's build video is going to be for the almighty Krillin. Yes, the human bald man. Yes, fellow bald man is who we shall be going over. Personally, he's actually one of my favorite characters in the game right now. So, but basically, we're just going to go through the breakdown of him and his skills and card suggestions and try to give you a baseline of how to build him. Now, it's not going to be perfect. Once again, these are only just going to be suggestions. So take that with what you will. And let's just go ahead and get right into it. All right, so first, we're going to go through the breakdown of Krillin. So, Krillin actually has a very unique ability, a unique passive ability that allows him to actually mark enemies. Certain skills of his are able to actually mark enemies. Now, what marking actually does is it makes them appear on the map. So if somebody's in a bush, if somebody's in a covered up, clouded spot of the map that you don't actually have access to, Krillin makes it so he can see them. That's what mark does. It makes it the unseen scene, essentially. Yes, I'm looking at you, Hit. You know, Hit has his counters to that, but marked is pretty good. It gives you a good awareness of where the enemy is at, and it's not to really be understated. Now, his rush attack does have a little bit of abilities here. It's an energy blast, a key blast energy attack. The third consecutive attack of it is powered up. And if the powered up attack hits an enemy with marked, it'll actually extend the duration of marked. Marked doesn't last that long. It only lasts a couple seconds, but as long as you're attacking them, essentially it's making them always appear. So just keep that in mind. Now with his skill 1, which is honestly one of his best moves, if not my favorite, he places an giant energy orb onto the field. Now, the enemy cannot see these orbs. They are not visible to the enemy. The blast becomes visible to enemies for a set period of time and applies marked and shrinks the field of view once they hit it. So it's invisible to the enemies. Sorry, I think I misread that. It's invisible to enemies for a set period of time, and it will apply marked and shrink their field of view when it explodes, once they get used to it, next to it, essentially. It also can be detonated with by another energy mine, so you can effectively like domino effect it almost. And it disarms if hit by an enemy's hero's energy attack, excluding the rush attack. So there are certain times where, like, say, a Super Saiyan Goku could just launch a Kamehameha and it'll explode these out of the way. That's fine, it's okay, not a big deal. You can put up to 2 or 3 of them based on your level. Now, his next skill being the Solar Flare, which is another way to easily apply marked, blind, and all attack down. Blind literally does about the exact same thing that Hit's move does, which essentially shrinks down your field of view so much so to the point of where you cannot see anything. You cannot like actually target an enemy. You can still throw out skills and get hits, but if a skill requires you to be actually locking onto that enemy and seeing them, then this will effectively neuter some enemies. It also applies all attack down, which is actually applying to their physical and ki blast attacks. So very huge utility right there for Krillin. Now we do have the Scattered Energy Wave, which basically fires off an energy blast that you can control and mid-attack. And if it hits, it will not if it hits, but it will actually track marked enemies and generate an explosion of smoke around them after it hits. I do feel like this is one of his weakest moves, purely because Mark doesn't last too long, but it can be utilized in some very unique ways. Now you have Destructo Disc, which is his super attack / his ultimate. It unleashes multiple energy discs in a set direction. It tracks marked enemies and deals increased damage to those with 3 or more debuff status effects who are hit by a disc's center. And it increases the number of discs that come out at level 3. What you're seeing on the screen is the level 3, essentially. All right, so now we're just going to go ahead and show off all of his skills, their cooldown, what they look like at level 1, 2, and 3. So let's just go ahead and start off with his skill level 1. So at level 1, his energy mine, as you can see right here, pops right up. Now, the enemy cannot actually see this. It doesn't explode if you're in it, but if somebody's right next to it and you by chance plop it on an enemy, it will ignite as soon as they're on it and effectively chain reaction. So now that he's marked, it's lasting quite a few seconds actually. So that's pretty good. Level 1, pretty decent already. It's pretty straightforward, just plop and plop. It's about a 5-second cooldown. You also have to understand that you actually lower the cooldown of these for every time they hit. If you actually pay attention down on the screen right here, once it goes off, you'll notice the little bit of tick, tick, and it actually lowers the cooldown. This is referring to his passive effect, which does an ability that allows for quick usage of skills and applies mark to enemies to shorten skill cooldowns. So essentially every single time you apply marked to an enemy, you lower your skill cooldown on your skills. Now let's just go ahead and look at his level 2 of skill 1. Now level 2, not too much of a difference here. There's a little bit, I suppose. A lot more damage, that's for sure. There is a huge difference in damage there. AoE level goes up quite a bit. So I do see quite the difference there. It is quite a bit of increase there. Pretty nice. But let's see what happens when we go up to level 3. So at level 3, you actually get a 3rd stock in your energy mines. So you can go effectively pop, 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 and pop, pop, bam, bam, and bam. A lot more damage, constantly applying the marked ability to the point of where you could almost place a 4th one in that order. Probably it's honestly his best skill almost. It's constantly going off. It reveals enemies' locations. It's lowering skill cooldowns. I would say skill 1 is probably his most effective, other than maybe the solar flare. So the solar flare does have a little bit of a radius. It's a very small radius here, as you can see. So it's best if you're going to get this at level 1 to get it early on. But use it, goes off in an area. It does take a second to go off. So do kind of keep that in mind, that it does take a second to actually apply. So what was that cooldown here? Let's look at the level 2. It was pretty short field right there. So at level 2, it increases dramatically. This is a huge increase here. This is probably the most ideal point. If you have to choose to not go to level 3, this is probably one of your better choices at the end of the day. So that right there, you're looking at about 13, 14 second cooldown. Pretty long cooldown, and justfully so. It is a very powerful ability, takes up a huge AoE, blinds the enemy, lowers their attack, marks them. It's a very, very good skill to be utilizing. So now let's take a look at it at level 3. So at level 3, it is a ginormous radius to the point of where we're looking at almost like a level 2 Spirit Bomb level here. This is easily covering a tower. It's easily covering the majority of a team fight, a mini boss area. All of these are applying. So huge radius right there. Huge radius. Once again, though, it is mostly just the AoE that is leveling up. If we actually go look at the abilities of it, it'll actually tell you what levels up when you level up an ability. So in this case, it is only leveling up the AoE of Solar Flare. So if you're happy with level 2 and you can utilize level 2, go ahead and do that, because level 3 isn't going to do anything else except increase the range on this. Now, let's go ahead and check out the Scatter Energy Blast. So the Scatter Energy Blast is pretty long. As you can see, look at the top left corner there. It has a very long radius. So we can easily hit an enemy from over there. See that? Boom. Huge. And it follows with the camera. So do keep that in mind, though, is like when you're using this ability, you are stuck in that position. You are going to be in trouble if you're not in a safe spot. So be careful. So it's about a 7-second cooldown. It's going a pretty far range right there. Now, when it levels up, it will increase the amount of hits and the AoE range. Now, I don't think the AoE range is like how far it goes. But let's just go ahead and see. So you can aim it with the mouse. It can go pretty far. And of course, once mark is applied, let's just go ahead and do marked right now. See how we marked him? If you just let that fly, it will follow them. So it is a pretty good guiding attack. It does a nice little area AoE of damage right there. Let's go ahead and see what happens at level 3. So at level 3, it's still doing AoE plus hits. Go ahead and do that. And boom. Very huge, nice little radius right there. But once again, not a huge amount of damage. I think if you're a more highly skilled kind of player, you can take advantage of it. But I would still say that skill 1 and skill 2 are taking utmost priority because Krillin is not a damaged character. What this ability does essentially is to finish off an enemy or put a little bit of pressure on enemies that are running away. And that's it. That's all that that's meant to do. I wouldn't put too much focus on skill 3 personally. Now at super level 1, you have... I forgot to mention, how long is the cooldown on this? 8 seconds? 8-second cooldown's not too bad, not gonna lie. But anyways, so super attack. Pretty nice little range right there for the Destructo Disc, not terrible. Just go ahead and throw it out. Does like 2 hits, 70-second cooldown. I don't think 70 seconds is terrible. I think 70 seconds is pretty decent middle ground. It's not 90 after all. It's not 60 either though, but it is a pretty good damaging move. So this is a pretty decent range right here. Obviously, it doesn't go too far, though. So let's go see what level 2 looks like. Ooh, little bit longer of a radius. A little bit longer of a radius, but much wider. Much wider. Much wider. Huge increase right there. Still only does 1 big Destructo Disc with 2 hits. So that is something to keep in mind. Once again, pretty wide in here. You can hit a good amount of hits in here. You're covering a good tower with this. You're covering a decent amount of enemies within probably a team fight. Let's see what happens at level 3. Level 3 is when we increase the amount of Destructo Discs. So you essentially just tripled the amount of, of radius and view. That is huge. Also, this should also track if enemies are marked. Yeah, wowzers. Wow, that was pretty good. So, interesting note here. Shu applies marked to enemies. Shu applies mark to enemies, or is supposed to apply mark to enemies. So you can actually take advantage of Shu in that regard. But anyways, yeah, the Destructo Discs are pretty crazy. I think they do a lot of damage. I don't see them really tracking too hard, but it does. Oh, wait, they don't track. I apologize. It says it tracks enemies, but I didn't see it really move too much with Vegeta there. Maybe if I tried it at a lower level, it could be easier to distinguish, but It's also deals increased damage to those with 3 or more debuff status effects. So if you really wanted to take advantage of this, essentially what you should do is you should go pop, 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 and then go pop, and then go wee, and then there you go. Huge amount of damage. Let's try to upgrade Vegeta there. Let's pump him all the way up to a max level and see what happens. So once again, go pop, 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 and then go Destructo Disc. Ooh. Wow. Wow, that was wow. Now, I mind you, this is a Vegeta with, you know, no skills or anything, but that was a huge amount of damage right there. But let's try that with just like, let's just try Solar Flare and then just do that and see what happens. Nope, that's still a crap ton of damage. Yep. So, Destructo Disc, pretty strong at level 3. I'd say a level 3 Destructo Disc is pretty insane. But at the end of the day, you do need to understand that Krillin is straight up a technical character that is meant for more support, specifically with all of these. This is his primary point of his attacks, is to use this and to assist the other lane allies and to help the team. His primary source of damage is straight up the Destructo Disc, of course. So, I mean, without the marked being applied, you're not actually going to do like an insane amount of damage unless it's a direct hit. If you do this from a distance, it's very likely that you're probably not going to get too many hits off there. I mean, look at that right there. Oh no, it still did a good amount of damage. Okay, maybe I'm not giving him the fellow bald man enough credit. But either way, those are your attacks right there. There's some suggestions, and let's just go ahead and start getting into a couple other things here. So I'm going to give a couple suggestions here, but the primary suggestion I actually have is going to be for Shu. So Shu is applying marked to enemy heroes in ranged. It's effectively giving you more buff for Krillin specifically. I feel like this is the best usage of Krillin, but I think in the future this could definitely be a point where he doesn't apply the same by chance. But for right now, I do feel like he at least is still like a good ward. He's a good ward to throw out on the map so that you can see where enemies are at. So you can solar flare people hiding so that you can, you know, get people with the scatter shot. I think there's a lot of usage with using Shu and Krillin. But of course, a lot of people are probably going to go with the standard, probably Bubbles. I do like Bubbles quite a bit. The extra movement speed and step efficiency is very nice. Movement speed is good, but the step efficiency is essentially like your acceleration. It accelerates how quickly you're going to move, and then the movement speed is increased. So he could actually be very good for Krillin. And then, of course, there is the Farmer. The Farmer is basically a turret that lowers enemies' defense and movement speed down. You apply that already with what he has, lowering attack, debuffing, and so forth. He is a very strong helper to be throwing with you. It highly depends on your playstyle though. At the time of recording, we do have a new helper, which is the Invisible Man, which prevents you and allied heroes from being discovered when within range. I don't know the exact usage of this at the current time of recording. I have not had any time with it, but I am trying to focus up primarily on the standard 3 starting ones that people will start off with when they play the game. Now let's go ahead and proceed with the skill suggestions. All right, so skill suggestions wise, I do kind of suggest that you do go ahead and go primarily for skill 1 and 2. The bread and butter of Krillin is straight up skill 1 and skill 2. You want to get the skill 1 as much as possible, lay your grenades everywhere, cause confusion with the enemy, mark them, etc. And then you want the solar flare primarily to be supporting in the best way possible, which is blinding the crap out of the enemy. And this just does so much with these two alone. These two alone fulfill Krillin's role and leaves so many openings for him to be able to take down the enemy, even with just a level 1 or level 2 Destructo Disc, not even taking into consideration of skill 3. I do feel personally, skill 3 is the weakest of his skills. Now, that is on probably a lower level player's experience. But in my time of getting MVP with him, I do feel like he's pretty good. I don't need to worry about this majority of the time. I worry more about supporting my allies, putting a little bit of pressure where I'm at, and sticking with my lane partners rather than trying to chase or get locked down with skill 3. Remember, when you use skill 3, you are effectively stuck in the spot until that energy blast hits. There have been quite a few times where I've actually gotten caught off guard with that. Now, so level 2, go skill 1, level 3, go skill 2, and just go back and forth on those until you hit level 6, and then at level 6, give your first node to his super attack. At level 7, you can go ahead and give it to your skill 3 if you so wish. There is also a possibility, by the way, that you don't have to use your skill to give to your skill 3. Let me explain. All right, so pay attention to the screen here. Now, when you hit level 7, you effectively do not need to use that node. You're at level 7, you have this node right here that you could level up the skill with. I'm here to tell you, you do not have to do that. You can save that skill point, because here's the thing. When you look at your skills, you can only hit level 3 when you hit level 8. That is the restriction that's being applied right now, and why you can't level up skill 1 and skill 2 to level 3. Now, when you go to level 8, you can just apply this to those other 2 skills because you are at level 8 and you have skill points available to you. This can better construct your abilities to the best of what you can at level 8. At level 8, having two skills at a max level 3 is huge. It is a very big increase of, well, pressure, especially with other characters. So if you feel like there's a skill you can literally live without for the majority of the fight, because even then, when you go to level 9, you still don't have to put it in your skill 3. You can put it on your super attack. Now, once you hit level 10, that's when you have no choice, because at level 10, your super attack has to wait until level 11 to be maxed out. So at that point, yes, you do have to put it in to skill 3. Because then at level 11, you can go up to here. Up to your super. So, all right, next we're just going to go ahead and go into the card suggestions. So card suggestions are a little bit more sparse with Krillin, as he does have a lot of things he can actually pull off. I do feel like there's several things you can do with him as far as his card builds go. Level 1, Strategic Escape is a nice little tool to be running away and giving yourself space. Level 2 with Solid Barrier is a very nice defensive tool, where if you do by chance don't get the solar flare off, or you can't get out, it's a nice little thing to protect yourself while you wait for your lane partner's assistance. And then at level 3, the little bit of extra defensibility when running away, because you are going to vanish step away with Krillin. It's going to happen. That's just going to be part of how you play with him. I think this extra amount of damage reduction really helps him quite a bit, and with a little bit extra defense. Now, with the other build down here, the Gekishin High, you can definitely be a tower destroyer with this guy. You can definitely sneak around, tower destroy. You can solar flare and then use your skill 1, because you can use the charges of your skill 1 to effectively destroy a tower super easily with Krillin. Very quick lowered cooldowns for that. Once again, level 2 Solid Barrier is pretty solid right there. And then level 3 being the limit breaking jump with a double vanish step to get out when you need to. Also remember, the more blue cards you have, the lower your cooldowns are. And just lowering the cooldowns in general for Krillin, who already has short cooldowns, just means you can spam the energy mines even more so and get out your solar flare faster. As far as another set of builds that you can technically take advantage of, just one more set right here. You can technically go ahead and replace level 1 with a snowball. Krillin is one of those characters, because of his Destructo Disc and his energy mines, he can actually take a lot of advantage of the damage output. And as long as you are safe and keep your spacing with Krillin, you could take advantage of this with Snowball, not die, and just get a huge amount of damage off. We already saw level 3 Destructo Disc destroy a Vegeta's full health bar just by marking the crap out of him. So I think Snowball could definitely be an option, but you would definitely have to use Solid Barrier and Limit Breaking Jump and really try to space yourself and be careful. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for the video today. I hope this video gave you a better understanding of how Krillin works and how you can kind of utilize him to a degree. Let me know how you go about his skills and, you know, what are you focusing first? Are you focusing up on his energy mines? Are you focusing up on his solar flare and Destructo Disc? Let me know, and let me know what your card suggestions are. You never know how the game's going to change in the coming months, so commenting down below your actual suggestions yourself as the game ages and gets updates will definitely help players that come around to this video after updates have occurred. So thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a good day and a good night.